The Crooked Anchor, Season 3, Episode 5, The Groaning. Another day at the pub. It was a dark and wet afternoon in Lower Taddlecombe, the kind of wet that felt like it soaked your bones. Inside the Crooked Anchor, the air was thick with the scent of damp coats, spilled ale, and mild anxiety. Brian sat at the bar, swirling the final drops of his half-pint. "David," he said softly, "refill, please." But David didn't move. His eyes were glassy. His head tilted slightly, as if listening for something only he could hear. "David?" Brian repeated. Brian gently tickled David's fingers, resting on the bar. "Ha!" David jolted. "Refill on my half. What's the matter?" David didn't meet his eyes. "Can't you hear that sound? It's terrifying." He turned and pressed a pint glass against the wall, eyes narrowing. Brian, unconvinced, reached over the bar and pulled himself a pint. Pete wasn't in his usual booth. He was up, pacing the pub with his hands buried deep in his coat pockets. He walked slowly, stopping occasionally to stare at nothing. "Something's afoot," he whispered, and no one responded. David called out, voice cracking slightly. "Lads! Can you hear that?" From the kitchen came only the symphony of endless metallic clanging pots, pans, tongs, and what sounded like a whisk in a blender. Suddenly the groaning came, a low, impossibly deep moan. It echoed through the pub, like the building itself was mourning. Everything stilled. Gunther leapt into Brian's arms like a frightened cartoon. The pub cat vanished under Pete like a furry poltergeist. Biggins squawked, "Ooh, ghosty, ghosty, boy!" David panicked and grabbed the pub phone. "Right, that's it. I'm calling a ghost hunter." He flipped through the pub's emergency pamphlet drawer, which also contained coupons, mothballs, and an unopened Twix, and found a flyer, Rufus Flanagan, ghost hunter, civilian, Miska. 10 minutes later, Rufus arrived at the pub dressed like a man who had died in 1911 and never been told. Brian blinked. "That was quick. Live locally, do you?" Rufus, eyes intense and unblinking, replied, "No." Brian's eyebrow twitched skyward. Suddenly the groaning returned, louder, sadder, almost operatic. "Bloody hell!" Rufus shouted. "What the hell is that noise?" He slammed down a small duffel bag and pulled out his tools. A pair of handcuffs, superglue, an old first bus ticket to Bideford. Brian's eyebrow lifted even higher. David, smiling through terror like a host on a doomed cruise ship, nodded nervously. "Yes, well, just a bit of haunting, no big deal. All manageable." Pete was now hopping over the cat in silence like some kind of ritual. Rufus squatted low to the floor. "Give me 5 minutes and I'll have this dealt with." He immediately superglued his shoes to the pub carpet, then, for good measure, handcuffed them to the leg of the nearest table. At that exact moment, Raymond emerged from the cellar holding a cardboard box and grinning. "This new fridge I found is making a hell of a noise," he said. The entire pub turned toward him in slow unison. "What?" Raymond blinked. David, eyes blazing, slammed a fist on the bar. "Your fridge? Your bloody fridge?" Brian's eyebrows fell into a stern V of rage. Clifford and Warren popped their heads out of the kitchen, aprons singed and slightly wet. "So, who's up for seaweed sausages and fried beans?" Clifford asked cheerfully. Meanwhile, Rufus began muttering in Latin, handcuffing his other foot to a stool and whispering incantations to the bus ticket. The groaning had stopped, but no one felt any safer. Just another day at the Crooked Anchor.